Hello, I'm Scott Rodenbow, and this is my presentation about technology in the classroom. Um, First of all, this presentation caters to one of the main topics that was given to us through the instructions for this assignment. That is the one about the best practices of technology in the classroom. I just wanted to make sure that's clarified just for grading purposes. It does have a little bit of a different title. I'm kind of doing an informative slideshow here about technology in the classroom, kind of explaining what it is, and also the best practices and even things like implementing it and even financial information regarding technology in the classroom. Unfortunately, I've ran out of time on the screencast here like three times going through this presentation. I've gotten to about my fifth slide and I've ran out of time, so I'm going to try and get through this with a little bit quicker of a pace. I use Google Slides for this presentation. I love Google Slides. I think Google Slides is super efficient. I think it's super easy to work with, and you can make some fun and immersive presentations on here. So I enjoy it. I really think it's a very teacher friendly. I think the entire platform of Google is extremely teacher friendly. So let's hop into a little introduction about myself. I think it's only fair to you as the viewer to know a little bit about the presenter. So um, I was I graduated from Clare High School in 2021. I'm in my third semester here at Mid. I'm a secondary education major, and I'm going to be transferring over to CMU in the winter. Um, I am a supplemental instructor for Biology 100 here at the college, and I love it. It really has pushed me to become a teacher, and I just love working for people or working with people and um, teaching. Getting up in front of a class and teaching. I've really fallen for it since I started that job last year, and now, like I said, I'm in my second semester of it now. Um, love it, and I'm not necessarily a science lover. I'm more of a social studies person. That's my kind of major. That's what I want to teach. Um, but who knows? It could fill a minor. I'm not sure. So I've been surrounded by education from a very, very young age. Both my parents were teachers for 30 plus years. They're now retired. But my dad was a social studies teacher, um, secondary education, pretty much what I want to go into. And then my mother was a special education teacher um, for 30 something years, and she's just recently retired now. So, yeah, I've been in the classroom since before I was even uh, going to school and even at home. So I've gotten a really good idea about what it's like to be an educator inside and out. So I really am thankful for that fact. I'm thankful to have two very good mentors um, with me all the time. So my high school education was enveloped by technology due to COVID-19. Um, I missed about 7 months of high school. 7 months of my high school experience, 7 or 8 months of my high school experience were distance learning. So lots of technology was implemented in that time, and the teachers were learning how to use it, and the students were learning how to use it. And it was definitely an interesting experience and kind of gave me the motivation to do this topic and talk a little bit about this overhanging idea of technology in education. Um, so let's talk about that. Let's talk about how technology or what exactly technology in the classroom means. We'll start off with saying that technology's come a long way, and that's easy to say. When I was younger, and I'm not trying to make it sound like I am some old person who is much more knowledgeable than anybody else. I'm 19. Okay, still have a lot to learn. But when I was younger, we used to go to the computer lab or the media center. Um, those have kind of gone extinct since then because students now pretty much all have their own computers. And in some school districts, I can't speak for all school districts, but especially mine, we all had school commissioned Chromebooks. By about my sophomore year, we all had computers, so we just didn't have the need for computer labs or anything like that. And it was much better. It was much more accessible, and it was much more efficient for teachers and students. Using things like Google Classroom, Gmail, um, and all of the other things that Google provides, like slides, like docs, like sheets, like all that stuff. Um, so that plays into this next little section where I say it makes teachers' lives more difficult and easier. That's the easy part. That's what made our lives easier is using all the things that Google provided for us with these Chromebooks. Um, it made things a lot more smooth. We got away from the textbook lecture model for a little bit, and it was quite refreshing. But giving students Chromebooks that have access to games and YouTube and streaming platforms can make lives more difficult on both ends, and that's because it becomes a distraction. That's because when you're supposed to be learning, you're watching YouTube, you're playing games, and I was guilty of it at certain points throughout my educational career in high school. You'd miss very large parts of what the teacher's trying to teach you because you have a computer that has access to millions of sites right in front of you all the time. So that kind of outlines the pros and cons of this idea of having technology in the classroom, because there are many positive implications and there are many negative implications, and we'll get into that a little bit later. So $27.6 billion will be spent this year on educational tech. That's a lot of money. I don't need to be a financial management major to understand that that's quite a bit of money. That's quite a bit of funding. And it's only going to increase because we are seeing increased amounts of technology in classrooms. So let's look at some examples. Technology is being used in classrooms for immersive learning, which immersive learning, I touched on this earlier, is getting away from the textbooks and the lectures, getting away from taking notes with paper and pencil, getting away from the traditionalist school approach that's kind of bored students for many, many years. It's immersing students in technology, and I enjoy that. This gamification I also enjoy. It's applying a game-like environment in classes. This kind of, let's say you apply a point system to a certain assignment that's online, or even finding a game that fits into your curriculum. Things like that can really increase student engagement, especially if these students play video games at home, or if they are comfortable with that sort of thing. That may increase some engagement where you didn't have it before. So that's a great thing. I love gamification. Long distance learning, we're all very opinionated about this. It's quite new still. We only used it 3 years ago, and we've still kind of used it. It's kind of fizzled out now. There are some long distance learning situations, I'm sure, but now we have the resources for it. 3 years ago we didn't really have the resources for it when the pandemic started, but now we have a really good idea of how to do this sort of thing and how to use the technologies if that situation were to ever occur again, and it may when we become educators. So that's a very good thing that we know how to switch to this long distance learning through technology. Personalized learning, let's say if we have a student with a learning disability, you can, instead of forcing them to go through the same process that every other student's going through, like your traditional approach with the textbooks and the lectures and the pencils and the paper, you can really change a student's learning experience with technology, aided by technology. So that helps. Also, if technology in the classroom is student preferred, I think there are also some strong opinions about this. But I think it would be safe to say that students do prefer some extent of technology being used in classrooms. Here are some practices for using technology. When you are introducing a new technology, you probably should use clear instructions. You shouldn't assume that just because your students are tech natives, that they should just understand how this works. They should just understand how Google Classroom works because they know how to use social media. You should definitely use clear instructions, because if you don't, then misuse will happen. Misuse is bound to happen if you are not very clear with your instructions. Utilizing tech support in this situation, or being well educated yourself is very important as well. Um, and be mobile in a classroom situation, that you're using technology. If students have computer screens open, you should have an idea of what pretty much every student's doing on their computer. And there are softwares that allow you to watch their actions on their Chromebooks and things like that. I'm personally not a fan of that sort of thing, but they are available to teachers. Be flexible and resilient when you're applying technology in a classroom. Have a plan A, B, C, D, etc. I kind of went overboard with that one, but just to outline that you need to be resilient and flexible because certain things will work and certain things will not work. Not to mention, reach out. There are many forums, blogs, and social media posts by teachers who are going through the same thing that you are going through with technology, whether it's a good thing, whether it's a bad thing, whether it's learning how to implement it, whether it's learning how to use it. Many teachers communicate online about these sort of things, so use that. There are some complicating factors: misconduct, cheating, distractions. We already went over that sort of thing. If you put technologies in school, it is going to be misused. You can only mitigate these things. You can't completely eradicate them. But understand that misconduct exists with technology. It's always going to exist with technology. And I also touched on this other thing. Sometimes certain technologies won't work. Don't get discouraged. You can work through these things. You can find technologies that work because there are for sure technologies available, whether it's a website, whether it's a forum, whether it's a different style of Google Classroom that works better for your students. And not to mention, understand that in a long distance learning situation or a flipped classroom situation where students have to do work at home, different financial situations exist. There are students who may not have Wi-Fi access at home. There are students that may not have computer access at home, and understanding this as a teacher and working around these things is very important. Here are some strategies for implementing technology. Keeping a journal of what works and what doesn't. Slowly integrating technology. If you kind of slam them with all these new things, you're also slamming yourself with all these new things, and you're going to overwhelm yourself and your students. And keep researching. Never stop researching how to use technology in a better way. It never ends. The learning never ends, even if you are an educator. Here's some financial information regarding technology in classrooms. This is actually a link that has 17 grants or 18 grants that are available for different things like Chromebooks, research sites that require membership, and plenty of different STEM resources. So definitely check out that link. There are plenty of grants. If there's a certain, if your certain school district does not have access to these technologies through financial situations, grants are a great way of getting technology in the classroom at your school. So thank you for watching this presentation. Hopefully this suffices. Hopefully this covered the points that needed to be covered, and I hope to see you again.